Hello students, today we are going to discuss a very important topic that is called thermodynamic functions. What are thermodynamic functions? There are two important thermodynamic functions. Number one, state function. Number two, path function. Okay, let us see what is the state function first. State function, it is also known as a path independent function. It is also known as what? Path independent function. Now in the state function, the definition, those functions whose value only depend upon the current state of the system, that is the present state of the system, okay, and independent from their previous state, that is the past state of the system, and as well as independent on the path followed to achieve the present state of the system. Are you getting my pen? And these state functions are path independent functions. That means here the properties of a function, the function properties which depend upon the present state of a system and independent on the previous state of the system, as well as the path of transformation through which the system gains the present state. Okay, it is a path independent function. There are different types of state functions or path independent functions. Number one, pressure. Number two, volume. Number three, temperature. These are the state variables. These state variables, pressure, volume, temperature, are also known as a state functions. Okay. Apart from these three, there are another four important thermodynamic state functions. What are those? Internal energy, that is U, enthalpy, that is H, entropy, capital S, and Gibbs energy, G. These are the four important thermodynamic state functions apart from pressure, volume, and temperature. Okay. After that, kinetic energy, potential energy, these also referred as a state functions. Okay. Let's suppose I am taking one example here. I am taking the volume on the x-axis and pressure on the y-axis. Let's suppose I am moving from point A to point B. So point A is a state 1 and point B is a state 2. Let's suppose when a system moving from point A to point B, there are different paths. Let us say this is the first path, which is a direct path. Okay, the system can move from initial point A to final point B through the path 1. Otherwise, there is another path, that is a path 2, and also there is another path, that is a path 3. Out of these three paths, if you see the system moving from state A to state B. Are you getting my point? Now here from state A to state B, if any system is moving, irrespective of the path, the property, the value will be remains same. Are you getting my point? If you see the difference of point A and point B, if the property, whichever the property, if the difference of that property irrespective of the path will be remain same, that function is referred as a state function. That function is referred as a state function. Okay. Now here simple example I will tell you. Let's suppose this is a mountain, high hill station. So now you are standing here. Okay. Now you have to move to this point. So there are different options. You can move to this point. Directly you can move to from this direction. Otherwise, first of all, you can move in a straight line up to here, and then you can go to in this direction. There are different possibilities. Okay. Now if you see, if the person moving path 1 direction, otherwise in the path 2 direction, if the final point, if you see, that will be the point B, and initial point, that is the point A. Now the property which depend upon the initial state and final state of the system only, irrespective of the path of the transformation. Are you getting my point? That means if you see the potential energy will be equal to mgh. Are you getting my point? Now if the person moving from point A to point B, now what will be the height of the person from the origin? That will be the height h. So that will be remains same whether the person moving through path 1 or path 2, irrespective of the path, the height of the person now in the final state will be remain same. That means its his potential energy will be remain same. That's why this is called state function. State functions are those functions whose values are depend upon the current state of the system and independent on the path of the transformation and also independent on the previous state of the system. Are you getting my point? So this is a very important definition regarding the state function. Okay. Now next one, change in the state function depending upon both initial and final state of the system. Yes, initial state and final state of the system, the change in the state function value depends. Let's suppose phi is a state function, then what will be the change in the state function? Nothing but the final value minus initial value. Now the change in the state function, let's suppose delta phi is equal to pi 2 minus pi 1, where phi 2 will be the final state function value and pi 1 will be the initial state function value. The difference will be always same irrespective of the any path. Whether the person moving from path 1 to path 1, when the person is moving along with path 1, path 2, path 3, irrespective of the path, the change in the values that will be the final value and initial value remains what? Same. That's why this is called what? State function. Let's suppose we have different types of state functions. Let's suppose temperature. Best example, temperature. Initial temperature T1, final temperature T2. The difference T2 minus T1, that is the delta T, will remains same irrespective of the path. Irrespective of path of the transformation. Are you getting my point? If you go through path 1, if you go to path 2, if you go to path 3, irrespective of the number of path, otherwise only there is a one single path, even though that will corresponding to path independent, otherwise state function. So delta T will be equal to T2 minus T1, and similarly delta P, P2 minus V1, delta V, V2 minus V1, delta S, S2 minus S1, delta H, H2 minus H1, delta U, U2 minus U1, delta G, G2 minus G1. What is the delta T? Change in the temperature, delta P, change in the pressure, delta V, change in the volume, delta S, change in the entropy, and delta H, change in the enthalpy, and delta U, change in internal energy, and delta G, change in the Gibbs energy. Are you getting my point? Now the one of the important note here I am writing here, change in the state function between the two states has a definite quantity. Just now told you the difference between T2 and T1 has a definite quantity irrespective of the path. Are you getting my point? That's why the function is known as a state function or path independent function. State function or path independent function. And one more important thing, the change in the state function is neither a state function nor a path function. Let's suppose I am taking one best example, H. What is the H? Enthalpy. Now what is the change in enthalpy? That will be the delta H. Delta H is not a state function. Remember, H is a state function. H is a state function. Remember, enthalpy is a state function. But delta H is not a state function, even it is also not a path function. Are you getting my point? This is very important. Once again I am repeating. Let's suppose temperature. Temperature is what? State function, SF. Now shall I taking the T, delta T. Delta T, it is not a state function as well as not a path function, because change in change, that is d of dx. D of dx is undefined. We can define only dx, that is the delta t, delta p, delta v, like that. So d of dx is not defined. That's why we should not consider the change in the what we say state function. It is not a state function. Are you getting my point? It is not a path function. Are you getting my point? That means delta G not a state function. Delta H not state function. Delta S delta u, delta t, delta p, also not a state function, even not a path function. Okay, now change in the state function in a cyclic process is 0. What is the meaning of a cyclic process? Let's suppose if you draw a graph between the pressure and volume, let's suppose I am taking a point A, I am moving to point B. Okay, so point A to point B, this is the path 1. Okay, and I am returned back from point B to point A. That means we are starting from point A and finally we are reaching to again point A. That means one cycle is completed, A to B and B to A. Put together it is a cyclic process. Put together it is a cyclic process. In a cyclic process, initial state and final state remains what? Same. That's why the change in the state function in a cyclic process will be equal to 0. That means let's suppose in a cyclic process delta t 0. Why? Suppose T2 minus T1 actually change in the temperature. Okay, now final state, initial state both are same. That means T1 will be equal to T2. That means T1 T2 gets cancelled. That means delta T become 0. Similarly, we can write delta P 0, delta V 0, delta U, delta H, delta S and delta G. Remember, this is only valid for which process? Cyclic process. That too state function. That too state function. And the next one is the path functions. Path dependent functions or path functions. Those functions whose value depending upon the path of the transformation of the system. Path of the transformation of the system, but not on the state of the system. So that's why this is called path dependent function. Those functions of thermodynamics which depend upon the path of the transformation of the system, but not on the initial and final state of the system. Such functions are referred as a path functions. There are two important well-known examples we have. Number 1, work, and number 2, heat. Work and heat are called path dependent functions. They are not the state functions. Remember, work and heat are corresponding to path functions. They are path dependent functions. They are not state functions or state path independent functions. They are path dependent functions. That means if you want to calculate the work, let's suppose same example I am taking initial point A and final point B. So there are three different paths. So path 1, path 2 and path 3. Now if you see from A to B, if you are moving from system A to system, if a system moving from position A to position B, there are three different pathways are possible. Now in these three different pathways, the work done will not be remains same. Are you getting my point? The work done will be not remains same. So that means the work done in the path 1 is different from the path 2 and it is different from the path 3. That's why this is called path dependent function. Work done depend on what? Path. And heat exchanges also depending upon the path of the transformation of the system. Are you getting my point? Now what are the conditions for a function to be a state function? How to know whether a given function is a state function or a path function? Now, for a function to be a state function, it should satisfy the following three conditions. These are the three following conditions. These conditions are very important regarding the state function. Okay, let's suppose I am using one function phi. Phi is a function of x and y. Phi is a function of what? X and y. Let's suppose it is which function? State function, that is path independent function. Now the first condition, the change in the phi should be same between any 2 points in all possible paths. Let's suppose I am taking the 2 points. Let's suppose I am taking the point A and point B. These are the 2 points. In between these 2 points, if you see the point 1, point 2, that is the point A and point B. If you see, the change in the state function value should be remains what? Same, irrespective of the path. If you take all possible path, if path 1, path 2 and path 3, irrespective of the path, the change in the function phi value should be remain same between 2 fixed points. The point should be fixed, A to B, 1, 2, 2 like that. Now, what I am doing here, I am taking the integral A to B I am taking integral a to b d phi. So that will be equal to phi, and the limits will be upper limit b, lower limit a. So that's why I am writing the phi b minus phi a, and these values will be remain same in three paths. If you calculate the pi b minus pi a or pi b minus pi a in path 1 or path 2 or path 3, you will get the remain same value. That's why it is called what? State function, path independent function. Here what is the phi? Phi should be a which function? State function. And what are the values regarding the phi? We can consider pressure, volume, temperature. These are the three important state variables. Apart from, there are other four thermodynamic state functions: internal energy U, enthalpy H, entropy S, and Gibbs energy G. These are the state functions or path independent functions. This is the first point. What is the first point? Change in the function, state function will be same between 2 points in all possible paths. Next, second condition, cyclic integral of a state function must be equal to what? 0. Cyclic integral. Let's suppose this is a one function. So we are moving from point A in the path 1, and also in the second path, and also in the third path, and again we are reaching to original point, that is the point A. This is a cyclic process. Now the cyclic integration, that means integral, here I am writing a symbol 0, that is corresponding to cyclic process. Now we are moving from A and again we are reaching to A, that means initial state and final state become same. So cyclic integral of a d phi should be equal to what? 0, because integral d pi will be pi, and the upper limit will be a, minus lower limit is also a. Phi a minus phi b gets cancelled. Are you getting my point? In all three cases, that is the irrespective of the path. Okay, how many paths will be there? In each path, if you calculate the cyclic integral value, you will get the what? 0. Cyclic differentiation integral d phi value equal to what? 0. And one more important thing here, work done. Cyclic integral of work done, if you see, or cyclic integration of dq or dw, that will be not equal to 0, because these two are path dependent functions. They do not depend upon the state, they depend upon the path. Reason why cyclic integration of these functions not equal to 0, because w, q both are path dependent. Path dependent functions, they are not state dependent. Okay, now the next important condition number 3, if pi is a state function, then it must satisfy Euler's reciprocity rule. Euler's reciprocity rule. Now what is the Euler's theorem? Euler's theorem. Now let's suppose phi is a function of x and y. Now what I am doing, I am initially differentiating the function with respect to y, keeping the x constant, and after that I am differentiating the above function with respect to y, keeping the with respect to x, keeping the y constant. Are you getting my point? That means the function phi initially differentiating with respect to x, keeping the y constant, and continuation differentiation y with respect to x and keep the y constant. Okay, otherwise initially you differentiate the function phi with respect to y, keeping the x constant, and again differentiating y with respect to differentiate the function with respect to y, keeping the x constant. Are you getting my point? In both the cases the value becomes same only for state function. Only for which function? State function. Are you getting my point? So this is very important. Okay, now one more important note I am writing here. If the pi is a state function, let's suppose phi is a state function, it should be exact differential. It should be exact differential. Now what is the meaning of exact differential? State function is exact differential. Exact differential. Remember, whereas path function inexact differential. Inexact differential. Okay, now What is the exact differential? Let's suppose phi is a function of x and y. Now what I am taking? I am taking the complete change in the phi, that is the d phi will be equal to dou phi by dou x into y, dou phi by dou x with respect, that means dou phi by dou x keeping the y constant into dx plus dou phi by dou y keeping the x constant into dy. Are you getting my point? Now what is the meaning of a d phi? Total change in the phi value corresponding with respect to x and y, and dou phi by dou x, it is a partial differentiation of phi with respect to whom, x, and keeping the y as a constant. That means this value corresponding to change in the pi only with respect to x, and the second dou phi by dou y, that is the change in the phi with respect to only y, where x is keeping constant. Are you getting my point? To better understand it, I am taking one example. Let's suppose I have a function f is a function that will be phi into xy. So phi is a function, f is equal to, or phi is equal to function of x and y. Okay. Now what I am doing here, I am differentiating with respect to y, keeping with respect to y and with respect to x, keeping the x constant and y constant. When we are differentiating with respect to x, keep the y constant. So when we keep the y constant and phi is also constant, phi y gets constant. So write the phi y into dou x by dou x, that will be equal to 1. In the similar manner, if you differentiate the pi with respect to y, partial differentiation, keeping the x constant, keeping the x constant. So phi constant, x constant, the remainder y, remaining will be y, dou phi by dou phi, dou y by dou y will be equal to 1. So you will get phi x. Okay. Now it is complete differentiation. D phi nothing but what? Complete. Now we know what is the uv differentiation, u into v dash plus v into u dash. Okay. Now first of all I am taking 5 into y constant, I am differentiating only x, that's why I am writing the dx, plus now I am taking the 5 into x constant, I am differentiating only y, that's why I am writing the dy. Now in the above expression, what is the value of phi y here? This is the value of phi y. So shall I write, instead of phi y, dou phi by dou x keeping the y constant into what? Dx, and instead of phi x, shall I write dou phi by dou y keeping the x constant. Are you getting my point? So this is called exact equation, exact differential equation. It is only corresponding to state function. Condition what? Pi must be a state function. Should be a what? State function. Are you getting my point? Now here, first question, show that the volume of a ideal gas is a state function. We have to prove that volume of ideal gas, pressure of ideal gas, otherwise temperature of ideal gas, we have to show that is a state function. Now from ideal gas equation, do you know PV is equal to nRT? Yes, PV is equal to nRT. From here V is equal to, shall I write nRT by P? Yes. So here volume is a function of temperature and pressure. Volume is a function of what? Temperature and pressure. Now what I am doing, I am differentiating the volume with respect to the pressure, keeping the temperature constant. When the temperature is constant, N value constant, R value constant, temperature constant, so nRT constant. What is the differentiation of 1 by x? Minus 1 by x square. What is the differentiation of x? 1 by x square. 1 by x differentiation is minus 1 by x square. So 1 by p, I am writing minus 1 by p square. Okay. Now I am differentiating the V with respect to temperature, keeping the pressure constant. So N constant, R constant, P constant. So NR by P constant. And what is the differentiation of T with respect to T? That will be equal to 1. Okay. Now with respect to P, already I differentiating the V. Now what I am doing with respect to T, I am differentiating, keeping the pressure constant. That is second differentiation, d by dt of dou V by dou P at a constant temperature, okay, and at a constant pressure. Now here, now in this expression, now this will be now differentiated with respect to what? Temperature. So here temperature will be there remaining minus nR by P square constant. So with respect to temperature, here dt by dt or dou t by dou t will be equal to what? 1. So I am not writing 1. I am not writing here 1. Now come to the next one. It is the differentiation of v with respect to t, keeping the pressure constant. Now same function, now differentiating with respect to p, keeping the temperature constant. Now are you getting my point? So here we are differentiating with respect to whom? Pressure. So nr constant, 1 by p, that is the 1 by x, differentiation of 1 by x minus 1 by x square, so minus 1 by p square. This will be equation 2 and equation number 1. If you see in both the equations, RHS is same, minus nr by p square, yes. So LHS must be same. LHS, if you see on the left side, dou by dou t of dou v by dou p at a constant temperature and constant pressure, dou by dou p into dou v by dou t at a constant pressure and constant temperature. That means it is following which rule? Euler's reciprocal rule. Euler's reciprocal rule. Okay. Now there is a one more question. Show that the pressure of a 1 mole of a real gas. We know what is the van der Waals equation? P plus A into n square by v square into v minus nb equal to nRT. Okay. Now here if you put the n value 1, that is the number of moles of a real gas is 1, then you will get which expression? P plus A into P plus A by v square into v minus b is equal to RT. From here I have to prove that pressure will be a state function. So I am writing pressure P plus A by v square is equal to RT by v minus b, and bring the A by v square right side, you will get RT by v minus b minus A by v square. So this is the pressure corresponding to the pressure corresponding to the real gas. Okay. Now here differentiating the pressure with respect to temperature, keeping the volume constant once again, and keeping the temperature constant, differentiate the pressure with respect to volume. Are you getting my point? Now after that again in the first one, differentiation of pressure with respect to temperature, keeping the volume constant. Now differentiate this expression with respect to volume, keeping the temperature constant. You will get minus r by v minus b whole square, because 1 by x differentiation minus 1 by x square. Are you getting my point? And similarly in this differentiation of v with differentiation of p with respect to v, keeping the temperature constant. Now this expression further differentiated with respect to temperature, keeping the volume constant. So from here you will get equation 1 and equation 2. RHS is same. RHS is same means LHS must be equal to same. LHS must be equal to what? Same. So from here also we can conclude that it is follows Euler's reciprocity. Euler's reciprocity. That's why the pressure of a real gas is a state function. Pressure of a 1 mole of a real gas is a state function. Okay. Now come to some questions given here. The first question here, thermodynamics speaks about rate of chemical changes? No. Feasibility of a reaction? Feasibility of a reaction and energy changes of a reaction? Yes. Option B is the correct one. Okay. Next question, the object under the thermodynamic study is called what? System. Is called what? System. And next question, hot water in a thermos flask is a isolated system. Is which system? Isolated system. Are you getting my point? Because it is the boundary will be adiabatic boundary and it is closed system. So it is closed and adiabatic, that's why it is a isolated. In a open system and surroundings exchanging what? Both matter as well as energy. Both matter as well as energy, that will be the C option. Okay. And next question, closed system is perfectly sealed, perfectly insulated. It is perfectly sealed. If it is perfectly insulated, then it is called isolated. Why it is called closed? Yes or no? Next question, which of the following statement is false? Work is a state function? Yes, this is the incorrect statement. Do you know work and heat both are path functions? So this is the incorrect statement. And see the remaining statements. Temperature is a state function, correct. Change in the state is completely defined when the initial and final states are specified. Yes, point A to point B if I mention, then I can find the change in the state. Work appears at the boundary of the system, it is also correct. So finally, what will be the false statement? Work is a state function, because actual answer, work should be path function, path dependent. So but in the question, work is state function, that's why it is incorrect. Now the next question, which of the following is a path function? Just now I told you work and heat both are path functions. So here option C, if you see, work is a path dependent function. Next, which of the following statement is correct? Only internal energy is a state function but not work. Now here internal energy is a state function but not work. This option will be absolutely correct. If you see the remaining options, only work is a state function, incorrect. C option, both internal energy work are state functions, incorrect. Neither internal energy nor work is a state function. No, internal energy is a state function, but work is not a state function. So finally we can conclude what is the correct option here? Option number A, first option. Now come to which is a extensive property. Now in the last class I explained the difference between extensive properties and intensive properties. Extensive properties are those properties which depend upon the total mass of the system. Total mass of the system. Whereas intensive properties are those properties which are independent on the total mass of the system. Extensive properties are known as a mass dependent properties, whereas intensive properties are known as a mass independent properties. Extensive properties are additive properties in nature, intensive properties are non-additive in nature. When a system divided into two or more parts, then the property which is measurable will also changes. That's why that is extensive property. Even though if a system is divisible into two or more parts, if the measurable property of a system do not changes, that property is called intensive property. We know. Now question number 11. Which is an extensive property of the system? Extensive properties are those properties which depend upon the total mass of the system. First option, number of moles. How to find the number of moles? Given mass divided by molar mass. That means for a particular substance, molar mass is fixed. So as the given mass changes, number of moles changes. That means the option A is the correct option, and the remaining viscosity, temperature, refractive index all are intensive properties. Okay. Now come to question number 12. In which of the following set all the properties belonging to same category, that is either extensive or intensive? First option, mass, volume. Mass and volume are extensive property. Okay, and the specific heat will be the intensive property. Second option, temperature, concentration, volume. Temperature, intensive property. Okay, concentration is also intensive property, but volume is a extensive property. Option 3, heat capacity will be extensive property, concentration is intensive property, and entropy is a extensive property. Whereas in the fourth option, enthalpy is a extensive property, entropy is also extensive property, volume is also extensive property. So the final answer will be the option D. Okay. Now come to question number 13. In the question number 13, which of the following pairs represent the intensive property? Okay. Specific heat is a intensive property, temperature is also intensive property, option 1. And option 2, entropy is a extensive property, density is a intensive property. Option C, enthalpy is a extensive property, mole fraction is a intensive property, heat capacity is a extensive property, temperature will be intensive. So in both the in which option both the properties are intensive? That will be the first option, specific heat and temperature. Okay. And question number 14, out of molar entropy and specific volume and heat capacity and volume, which are extensive property? Do you know heat capacity is a extensive property and volume is also extensive property? specific volume is a intensive property, and molar volume is also intensive property. The question is extensive property, that will be 3 and 4. So in which option 3 and 4 is there? Option number D. Option number D. And last one more question. Out of internal energy, boiling point, pH and EMF of the cell, which properties are intensive? Do you know internal energy is a extensive property, boiling point will be intensive property, and pH is also intensive property, and EMF of a cell, galvanic cell, is also intensive property. Okay, now the question will be intensive property. There are how many intensive properties? 3. 1, 2, sorry, that will be 2, 3 and 4. Are you getting my point? 2, 3 and 4, that is the option B. Okay, in the first option if you see 1 is there, that will be incorrect because 1 will be extensive property. In option C also 1 is there, that is also incorrect because 1 will be the internal energy, that is extensive property, and all of these also incorrect. So only the one option left, that will be the option number B. Are you getting my point?
Shit.